episode 2.
So too. Wait, I also have something else to address that we talked about yesterday. Realizing we don't know how doors work. I was really freaked out by the fact
the door that locks from the inside.
No, it locks from the outside. And we were like, and I was like, oh my gosh.
No,
and
it locks from the inside.
Yeah, but when you told the story, you said it locked from the outside, and I was like,
I did?
What?
No, wait, I thought it locked from the inside, and you were like, so it's a regular door. Because it locks from the inside.
Maybe we have to go back and fact check this, but I swear you were like, it locked. Yeah, it locks from the...
You thought it locked from the outside, but I said it locked from the inside. And
yes.
And you're like, it's just a regular door. But I think the scary thing that was supposed to be scary is that it shuts on its own and it locks. So, like, anyone on the outside can't open it if you're in there. I think that's what it was, like, trying to suggest, maybe.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't paint that picture either.
No.
Like I said, I think I kept, I was, skimming through my story, and then,
Well, and then we went and looked at the doors in your house.
Yeah, we're like, wait a minute.
How do doors work?
They lock from the inside. Okay, got it.
Yeah, understand. Don't know why that, stood out to me, but...
It's, the one normal thing about the Winchester house.
Yeah.
It's just a regular
And
door.
I was all terrified. I was like, what?
I feel like a door that locks from the inside.
What is this woman thinking?
What house is this?
Okay, sorry. Again,
Anyway.
had to address that.
So, I've got something to tell you. So, in the heart of Old Town San Diego, and first of all, notice a lot of my stories are California because I went on a ghost tour there in Old Town San Diego, and I wanted to cover a lot of the stories there because it was such a fun experience and scary experience. So, yeah, just a little side note.
Can I ask before, not to interrupt you?
No, interrupt me.
I'm so sorry. On a scale of how many ghosts and such are involved in this?
In this? Well, so this story, I mean, it dates back to the 1800s, so tons.
Okay.
They say it's a ghost-infested house. So get ready.
Okay.
So, as I was saying, in the heart of Old Town San Diego stands a house unlike any other. One of the most infamous haunted houses in the U.S., the Whaley House, built in 1857, is a place where history and the paranormal intertwine, creating a chilling story of sorrow, death, and restless spirits. Your favorite.
How restless are we talking?
Pretty restless. The Whaley House was constructed by Thomas Whaley, a successful businessman who sought to make a home for his growing family. But the land the house was built on already had a grim reputation. It had been the site of San Diego's first public gallows, where convicted criminals were hanged or hung. Colleen is looking at me with shock.
I hate some of these words, just the gallows.
Yeah, gallows. I kind of had to Google that because I was like, what? One of these men, James Yankee Jim Robinson, a notorious figure from San Diego's past, is one of the city's most well-known ghosts. Infamous for his violent and lawless behavior, Yankee Jim gained a reputation for criminal activities during the 1800s. In 1852, he was convicted of grand larceny and hung on September 18th. The jury for Yankee Jim's trial included the two men who owned the boat that he attempted to steal, which did not bode well for him. Because obviously, the jury's the people that he stole from, so...
Yeah, so he was, kind of screwed.
Yeah, and I don't know if I wrote this in here, but he thought they weren't actually going to do it. He was kind of like, this isn't going to happen, and then it did.
Did he get all the way to, he didn't believe that he was actually going to get...
Yeah, he didn't think he was going to be convicted. I don't know if that was before or after he saw who the jury was, but I think he just, kind of brushed it off.
Yankee Jim sounds cocky.
Yeah, he is. So Yankee Jim was sentenced to death. Okay, I forgot to say this before I started, but a little bit of a trigger warning. This story involves, obviously, someone being hung, and there's, a little bit of a description in there. And also, this involves suicide, so if that triggers you, don't listen to the rest. hit stop right now. Just get out of the podcast.
Do I have that option?
You do not. So, back to the story. Yankee Jim was sentenced to death by hanging, but he only laughed at the judge, not believing he'd actually be executed. As it turned out, he was wrong. He was taken to the town gallows across from the El Campo Santo cemetery and placed on a mule cart with a noose around his neck.
Oh my God.
I know. It gets worse.
And he still didn't believe it from there? Like, when does he start believing that?
They don't say, but I'm almost like, I don't know. I would have thought it was, I don't know, actually, because they don't specify that. Because it's like,
I feel like the noose
like the noose around the neck should kind of tell him, like, this
he's
is
like,
for real. He's like, it's not gonna
this is a really elaborate prank, guys.
It just keeps going.
Sorry, hopefully that's not insensitive.
So, okay, but the hangman failed to account for Jim's height of 6'4".
No.
I know. As a result, Yankee Jim's feet were just able to touch the ground, causing him to suffer a slow and agonizing death.
That gives a whole different description of, like, Yankee Jim, because I'm just imagining.
Oh my God, he's just yanking. Oh, no, not yanking.
They're like yanking.
That
Sorry.
was a bad description. Yankee Jim. Don't haunt us for that.
Sorry.
I
never. I take it back.
She revokes. She says sorry.
Don't. I'm already, like, tearing up. I'm so scared. Don't say that.
One newspaper reported on the hanging and how Yankee Jim kept his feet in the wagon as long as possible, but was finally pulled off. He swung back and forth like a pendulum until he was strangled to death. I don't know why that part was...
Don't laugh. We can't laugh at him anymore.
Makes it worse and worse.
How far away is this house?
This is in Old Town San Diego. So
okay, so
like 6 hours.
Okay, so we're safe.
We're safe.
Well,
I mean, ghosts can probably travel at like lightning speed, but anyway. So there in the crowd at Yankee Jim's hanging, one of the spectators was none other than Thomas Whaley. So I've been to this house, and if I remember right, what the tour guide said, the house, where they built the house where he was hung, there's a tree, and they said that was the same tree.
No, really?
Yeah. I should probably fact check that. But I remember the tour guide saying that, but I didn't find that anywhere online, so it might be wrong. So.
Do you think it's probably like, this is like a legit question, I'm not trying to be funny, like, is it bad luck to, like, get rid of that tree? Because
I don't know. I feel like it doesn't matter whether the tree's there or not, because, like, he's still...
Yeah.
The spirit's still there.
Okay.
So, when the Whaley House was built on this location in 1857, stories of paranormal encounters became widespread. Visitors and residents often reported sightings of Yankee Jim's ghosts, particularly near the room and staircase above the old gallows site, which are said to be hot spots for supernatural activity. Even Thomas Whaley wrote in his... Oh, this part was weird. So even Thomas Whaley wrote in his journal in 1860 about hearing footsteps upstairs, which he attributed to Yankee Jim's restless spirit. And so his presence has become a key part of San Diego's haunted history. Because apparently that's not the only area he haunts. Like, he kind of haunts around downtown. So after the hanging... Unfazed, Thomas Whaley still purchased the land and built a stately brick home, which also served as a general store, a courthouse, and even San Diego's first commercial theater. And it was a hub of activity, but tragedy seemed to follow the Whaley family wherever they went. So what they think is him buying this house, it was like cursed because they bought it, and because that's the land like he like was executed. So that's kind of where the story goes from here, because after this, like, they just experience misfortune. So.
This is all Tom Whaley that his family experienced?
Yeah.
Okay.
So not long after moving into the home, in 1858, Thomas and Anna Whaley's young son, Thomas Jr., died of scarlet fever at only 18 months old. And Visitors hear laughter, like children's laughter, and tiny footsteps are said to, like, echo through the halls.
Sorry, but there's nothing scarier than, like, a child ghost.
Yeah, it's creepy, especially because I think they say, like, demonic spirits. Like, they try to look like kids, right?
Oh my god.
There's no demonic stuff.
I just, like, my whole body, and I know this is, podcasts aren't visual, my whole body went rigid, like, in defense.
Like, don't worry. I mean, I'm sure there will be some stories. Not today, and not in my next couple stories. Are there any?
I mean, and I also want to say there's nothing sadder than a child ghost, too.
If it's actually a child.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm having bad. Yesterday was hard. Today
she's freaking out.
Yeah.
So, not soon after that, a fire destroyed their downtown store, and they felt as though they were cursed by Yankee Jim and purchasing the property he was killed on. After the loss of Thomas Jr., they returned to San Francisco for a fresh start. And I forgot to mention, they were originally from San Francisco. They came to San Diego for the gold rush.
Okay.
And during this time, Thomas and Anna welcomed 3 more children into the family. George Hayes Ringgold in 1860, Violet Eloise in 1862, and Corinne Lillian in 1864. However, tragedy still followed them. In 1868, an earthquake hit San Francisco, and they returned to San Diego. And in 1882, Violet married George T. Bertolacci. I'm probably saying that wrong. And while on their honeymoon, Violet awoke to find a letter from George explaining that he only married her for the money. I know. This one's really sad.
Well, if you switch the roles, though.
If she only married him for the money?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Like... Nothing, never mind.
Okay. I was like laughing like I got it, but I was like, wait, what is it?
Because like women normally marry, like it's like the stereotype of like women marrying for the money.
Yeah.
It's like kind of cool to be like the boss. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm a sugar. Yeah, like I'm the sugar mama. Sorry.
I'm the sugar mama. I got all the money. Hang on, let me take a sip.
But still rude of him.
It is very rude of him.
Like,
George sucks.
I've never met never mind, I'm not going to say that. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, she woke up to that. And did I even say that was... Yeah, that was on their honeymoon. So that was right after they married, so he clearly did it for that reason. And so Violet returned to the Whaley House, where she took her own life by shooting herself in the chest with one of Thomas's guns, and she was only 22 years old.
Oh my god. And
she had a suicide note that wrote, "Mad from life's history, swift to death's mystery, glad to be hurled anywhere, out of this world." So it's just like, oh, it's sad.
That's really sad.
I know. So Violet's sorrowful presence is said to linger in the house, and many visitors claim to feel her sadness or catch glimpses of her on the second floor weeping. And her room remains preserved, and visitors claim to see her gazing out the window. When I went, her room was like, there's like a glass or something or plastic over, like you can't go in it. You can only look into it. And I don't know if it's always like that, but
well, you shouldn't go in there.
Yeah. Well, I swear I've seen pictures people took, and so maybe at one point you could. But I don't know if it's preserved. Maybe not. Maybe, I don't know. Preserved.
Or it's haunted.
Oh.
Like
I mean, it's definitely haunted. The whole house is haunted.
Like, don't go in there.
The whole property is. Thomas Whaley died on December 14th, 1890 at the age of 67 in his new town home. The Whaley House would stand vacant for 20 years until Francis Hinton Whaley decided to rehab the building and turn it into a tourist attraction in 1909. And then hauntings.
He died at 67.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
Well, I was actually, yes, young, but isn't that kind of old for like that time?
Actually, yeah, that is pretty old for that time because considering his like first child like died at like scarlet fever.
Yeah.
That's not funny.
No, it's nervous laughter.
Yeah, my armpits are sweating.
Yeah.
I'm like, did I handle this one with?
You did.
Okay.
I'm the one being.
No, we're good here. Okay, so hauntings of the Whaley House. So Thomas, he appears as a tall, stern figure dressed in 19th century clothing. He's often spotted near the staircase, his favorite part of the house. And he's known to glare at people, and some even report feeling smoke blown in their faces when encountering his unfriendly spirit. And I think, I didn't put it in here, but I think he smoked cigars, so it's like cigar smoke. Like people will smell. And those have a pretty distinct like scent or smell.
And I feel like they're bigger puffs.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, because I do like those like puffs.
I was going to say, they're bigger than cigarettes, so they must have more smoke in them.
I feel like, yeah, that makes sense. Because I feel like when you smell cigars, it's just more like in your face.
Yeah.
And I feel like they smell kind of good. So I'd be like, go ahead, blow it in my face.
Bring it.
I'm open to it. And he was known for being grumpy, so I guess that's why he's glaring. Grumpy in real life. And then his wife, Anna Whaley, she is a frequent apparition, and she's described as a gentle motherly presence, and her ghost is often seen on the home's main floor or tending to her beloved garden.
Oh.
And rather than being like scary, people who encounter her sense like warmth and positive.
Well, yeah, because she's got to offset her husband.
Yeah. And that's usually how it is. And people they also smell French perfume. Which I read somewhere else it was like lavender.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That one's not scary. I like her.
Yeah, I like her too. I'd be okay if I came across her. I don't know about Thomas.
Or the kid.
Or Violet is like just makes me sad because she's sad. Yeah, and I don't want to hear the children's laughter if they're not really there.
Yeah. Cute when real, terrifying when not.
Exactly. Another thing that people see there are chandeliers are known to sway as if an unseen force is gently pushing them. And then unexplainable mist and orbs have seen photographed, and there's actually a lot of pictures online of like seeing someone in the mirror. Yeah.
Like behind you? No.
Not behind you. Or maybe it's a reflection. Yeah, it's a reflection because nobody was in the picture.
Oh my god.
But, I mean, that doesn't make it better, but. So, and this is just a fact I added in here because I didn't know this, but so Thomas and Anna found the spirits of the home to be like sinister, and they weren't like about it. They didn't like it. But their son, George, embraced the ghosts, and he was known to communicate with the spirit of his father, Violet, and Yankee Jim after moving into the Whaley House. I was like, that'd be me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about Yankee Jim, because he kind of scares me, because he's probably angry.
He's like, pretty, yeah.
Yeah, he's mad. I don't.
You'd be smoking cigars with Tommy. on the stairs.
Glaring at people.
Yeah. You're like, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Same vibes.
I get you.
Literally your spirit animal.
Yeah. I get you, Tommy. And aside from that, the usual disembodied voices people hear, they report hearing whispers, faint cries, and they hear people calling their name. They also see shadows dart across walls and doors creak open and shut without cause. So typical spooky behavior. But here they also see a lot of like full-bodied apparitions, which makes sense because like the pictures are like literally, it looks like a person in the reflection.
I'm gonna regret this. Is that normal that you see like apparitions? Do they normally come through like his full body or?
I don't know. I feel like not usually. Because like the other stories I've read, like it's
like a partial
full bodied. Like it's more like what is it called? Oh my god, I can't remember. It'll come back to me later. But usually just like voices, things moving, orbs. But
I
feel
hate
like
the word orbs too.
Really?
I hate all of it.
You hate it all.
Yeah.
Colleen is very uncomfortable.
I'm sorry, and I keep interrupting you with questions.
No, I love the questions. Keep them coming. But, well, actually, that's the end of my story. Okay. But if you have follow-up questions, let me know.
I feel like what's scarier, seeing like a full body ghost or just like part of a ghost?
I feel like, oh, so you're saying like if you see one that like looks like you and I, like it looks like there's an actual person, or if you see something that's more like a shadowy figure kind of thing. I feel like, I don't know, because I don't know if I'd be able to tell the difference, like if it's a ghost, if it looks like someone actually standing there, but I have seen like a shadowy figure in person before in this house, actually.
No, what?
I don't think I told. Did I? Maybe I didn't, because I knew you wouldn't want to hear it. But I guess.
Well, and then I would never come over again.
No. Okay. So quick story. I was laying in bed, and it was like midnight, and I opened my eyes, and so we have our bedroom. There's like the ensuite or whatever where you go into the bathroom, and then you turn the corner, and it's our walk-in closet. And so, like, I opened my eyes and I saw someone walk around from where the closet was and turn around and walk back. And I immediately thought it was Seb, my husband. And so I closed my eyes and, like, whatever, he's probably getting ready for bed or something. And then, like, minutes passed and I was like, what is he doing? And I got up and I walked out to the kitchen and he was asleep on the couch.
No.
And what it looked like, it was like thinking back, so I can still see it in my head. It was like obviously a dark figure, but it almost looked staticky. Like I don't know how to explain it. But it was also like, you know, when everything's dark, and I feel like things just look that way, like that staticky kind of look. So I don't know, it was weird. But it was definitely, I saw someone like walk around the corner and turn around and walk back. That was the only time I've seen that, and I was just like, what the heck?
And you weren't like terrified?
I don't know why I wasn't. I think I was like a little, after I saw he fell asleep on the couch, I was like, what? And I felt like I thought about it for a while, but then I was like, no, I trust what I saw. Like, because I literally thought it was him, and I was like waiting for him, but then he like never came. So, it was very weird. Weird or spooky? Spooky to you?
More... I would choose a more aggressive phrase than spooky.
Terrifying?
Terrifying's a good one. Traumatizing. Okay.
I don't even know what would happen if you saw.
That's why, like, one of the things, too, that I forgot to mention when you were asking me, like, do I believe? Like, I certainly do. And again, like, I have, like, the utmost respect of, like, the passing and like all of that stuff. However, like I think that's something that like spirits like choose the people that can handle it.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And I can't. So like that's why I've never had like an interaction like or anything like that. And like again, most respect to like the people that have. But like I do think that's one of the reasons why like I've never had those experiences, because like I don't think I could handle it. I would be terrified. I know, and I don't know if I mean that when I saw that I wasn't that freaked out, and I feel like since then I'm not. It's more like I said, a curiosity than a fear. But if I saw something, I'm sure it would scare the shit out of me. Yeah.
But I don't know if I could handle it. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, like, you've done the stuff with, like, do you want to share a little bit about kind of, like, the therapy and stuff that you do?
Like the hypnotherapy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like, well, I got certified as a hypnotherapist. And that actually, well, I first got into that because I really liked what I was reading in past life regression. The book was Many Lives, Many Masters. My friend Carrie gave me the book. I'm like, hold on. Where did this start?
Sorry, I didn't mean to like catch you off guard.
No. Because actually when I saw that, it was when I was in one of the classes called Spirit Releasement, which is cleansing houses. So I feel like it was a weird coincidence that happened. But yeah, so I was lent the book Many Lives, Many Masters, which is about a psychiatrist who doesn't believe in past life regression, but he does hypnosis in his sessions to regress them back in this lifetime with things they need to deal with. And what happened in one of his sessions is she kept going back beyond this lifetime into other ones. And he just, out of curiosity, just kept asking her questions. And it just led into like all these different discoveries, like speaking to the subconscious, where we go when we die. And I feel like when you start looking at it in that perspective, it's less scary, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe you should read it.
Again.
I have it right there.
Again, I think it's the fear of the unknown that I have for me. And like, I fully respect, again, something I love about Tayler, she's very in tune and like intuitive, and like I think that's why like she's so like, it's amazing that she does these like therapy sessions and that she's done all of this stuff, like because she has this like ability, and we talk about this all the time, where like her and I will like talk about something, and the way she explains it, I'm like, I couldn't have put it into like better words than like she did.
That's so weird, because I feel the same way about you.
Yeah.
I feel like you explain things so well, and you're intuitive. So thank you. It's not about me.
But like, again, like I thought it was also important to like bring up like the stuff that you do with all of that and the practice that you do, because like I think that also speaks to like why you have that like fascination.
That is true. Yeah. I think it does, because it's just the unknown, like you said. It's going back, believing there's past lives, there's more to this. We're all energy, and it makes sense when we pass away that our bits of our energy is still here, kind of like walking around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that there was all these different classes I had to take, and one of them was that spirit releasement. And so I think it was funny that it just happened to be that class, because it was just a weekend class.
Yeah.
And I think it was a Saturday night that happened, and I was just like, wow, they're like coming out.
Yeah.
Clear them out. So yeah. Do you want to tell your story?
Yeah.
Or?
I'm like, after this like beautiful moment, and apologies, I'm gonna move my mic, so Norman, you can fix that sliding noise.
Norman's got a lot of work to do. Just
yeah.
kidding.
He doesn't even know it yet.
I know.
Okay, well, after that like beautiful moment, I'm gonna go really dark.
Go for it.
So let me pull up my notes. All right, so I have something to tell you. I've got something to tell you.
Cue the fire crackling.
Do you want to do it real quick together? I have my flashlight under my chin. So I'm going to share the story of Richard Chase, the Sacramento vampire.
Ooh.
So we kind of picked like both like California stories.
I like that. Okay. I also like the vampire. I've been rewatching the Vampire Diaries.
Okay, well, get ready for it. I don't.
Probably not at all similar, but
I was gonna say you may not like it by the end. Okay. But trigger warning that there are animal mutilations, and I'm not going to go into like super graphics of like what he did, but there are going to be some moments of talking about his crime scenes that are obviously disturbing, so I just want to note that at the beginning. Richard Trenton Chase was born on May 23rd, 1950 in Santa Clara, California. He's the middle child of what is described as a very dysfunctional family. His father is described as like overly strict, and his mother is extremely overly protective. Sorry, I should have started that. Many of the details I got for this case was given from last podcast on the left. They do a 2-part series on it. My Favorite Murder. I know I'm going to bring them up a million times because they're my go-to listen.
They're what got you into it, kind of.
Wikipedia, researching articles just on this case. But again, I just want to shout out that there are some really, really great podcasts. And so anyway, so his family is described as very dysfunctional. His mother is abusive. It is also noted that Richard, out of the 3 children, he's the middle child. He gets the brunt of the abuse in his family. As early as 10 years old, Richard starts exhibiting troubling behaviors. And do you know what the McDonald triad is, Taylor?
I do not.
Okay, so cool. The McDonald triad is also known as the homicidal triad, but I also want to note that like some people have like disputed. So when we say the homicidal triad, it means that a lot of serial killers have these tendencies, and however, it doesn't mean that every single person that has these tendencies is going to be a serial killer.
Someone
so
listening to it's like, oh no, this is my fate.
However, they will attribute that it's more likely that people that display these things, that they are probably experiencing very extreme abuse, and the abuse is more likely to lead to then the serial killer. Yeah, so I am not by any means an expert on this. I am a Googler of information, and this is the information.
This is what they said.
Yeah, so blame Google. So the 3 things are animal cruelty, bedwetting, and fire setting. So
bedwetting?
well, so I'll go into that because that's also something that they bring up with John Bonet in her case, and you know, one day we might get into that, but that a lot of people or children that are abused actually bedwet because they're so terrified of getting up in the middle of the night due to...
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, like due to, you know, getting repercussions and things like that. Or, you know, they're stuck to their bed depending on what type of thing is going on in their household. Yeah, so... that's usually like the first indication or the first sign that shows up. Chase, or Richard Chase, we're going to go back and forth. He has 2 first names. He continued experiencing bedwetting into his teenage years, which, as I stated, like is one of the biggest indicator, or one of the first indicators as like a small child. He started this when he was almost 10 years old. But chronic bedwetting beyond the like expected age, because children will wet the bed, like, you know,
that makes sense. I was like, I'm pretty sure I did too.
But like it can signal emotional distress and, again, that maladaptive coping or that fear of repercussions by leaving their like home space. So we're gonna go into a big one later on, but I'm going to talk about the fire setting. So Richard didn't really he wasn't really known for fire setting to the same extent that like other serial killers have been known to do, or like indicated that he was like legitimately setting fires. However, he had these like outbursts, and that were indicating like kind of the same impulsivity that fire setting indicates in this triad. So something to note there is like from everything that I read, that it was more of like his erratic behavior and like paranoia and such that was kind of like subsequently fitting into this part of the triad. However, the difficult part is animal cruelty, or the difficult part for me and probably for you, and I'm looking at you, Pete, because Taylor's dog is napping over there, so I apologize that this is the story. I'm so sorry, Pete. He was very much into animal cruelty, and we're gonna go deeper into this. But he would kill and mutilate small animals. This started again very, very young age, and escalates much farther. So we're gonna jump to the 70s. So now if we're in the 70s, he was born. Anyway, I'm not gonna do math. So we're going to jump into like his late teenage years. He was actually described as popular, and especially with women. He's 5'7", like described as handsome and like social and stuff, like had lots of girlfriends.
Charismatic type.
I don't know if charismatic was a word that he was described as. It was more of just like he was popular. Okay. So I think he had the aesthetic look. And when I looked up pictures, I didn't see it.
I want to see.
But
what's his name?
Richard Chase.
Oh, I forgot.
You're not really boating my confidence in storytelling if you care about
killer. Let's see. Oh, a cartoon immediately popped up. What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Oh.
Well, and those like are his mugshots, so this is well into.
If you're good looking, you should even have a good mugshot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it.
And 5'7", like I feel like he's not like
short guy.
Yeah. They made him sound taller, but like 5'7" sounds short to me.
5'7" is not super tall. It's
Wait, should I fact check that? Because they made him sound tall.
He looks tall, but I don't know if it's because he's like skinny.
Okay. You want to look up his Wikipedia and see how tall he is?
How? Yeah. Let me see.
Do you want to do my
tall?
story for me?
Richard Chase. How tall is Richard Chase? Cereal. I'm sure you're right. Maybe 5'11".
He's 5'11". I just wanted to downgrade this guy in like...
and I get it.
So he's 5'11", so okay, yeah, tall.
Close. It doesn't matter what his height is.
It does, though.
Oh, okay.
Well, to me it does.
Okay, the facts.
Okay, so he's 5'11". Okay, so he is popular with the ladies, and like has several girlfriends. However, he can never keep a girlfriend, because he can never get an erection.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say he can never keep them
because he was only 5'7".
No, he kills them. I thought that's what it was gonna be.
No,
he can never get an erection.
Yeah, so he one of the things is he starts associating like sexual pleasure with the killing of animals. Oh. And so like that's something that, again, like with that triad, he's associating that with sexual pleasure, and so he can't associate like sexual pleasure with the women. Yeah. So they keep dumping him. Okay, and then now, because it's also the 70s, he starts experimenting with drugs. Specifically, acid is his drug of choice. He's also abusing alcohol, and due to the drugs and such, he becomes even more, like, he starts becoming socially isolated. Mm-hmm. And his mental health starts, deteriorating. Also, I want to note that, he's indicating some, indications.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense to me.
Okay. Schizophrenia.
All the words happening right now.
Sorry.
Even if you said it wrong, I'd still be like, mm-hmm.
Okay, so schizophrenia. I will get it right. That he's starting to indicate more and more elements of this, and especially I found this really interesting is that with men specifically that get diagnosed with schizophrenia, it actually happens in their later teens.
Oh.
So I just thought that was really interesting because it's like you could go your whole life with like all of these indications and then you're like 19, 20
and you just get it.
And you just get
That's
it. Like,
so scary.
Right? Like,
I also think like well, I've heard that like the drugs like that can trigger it, but I don't know if it's like it already has to be like within you or if it just, you know what I mean?
well, and so that was like my Tayler.
Oh.
No, that's amazing. But yeah, that's like what they talk about is that because he had already like indicated that he probably, had this symptom. I don't know the right phrase to use.
I don't either, but just like whatever it was already like within him. It was just waiting to it's like dormant. Until the drugs like triggered it, and then he's
and it can trigger it and then also like escalate it. Mm-hmm. So like whatever you're already having elements of like paranoia and stuff, it can amplify that like way beyond. And he was basically drunk, high, like all the time. And everybody that met with him or knew him beyond like high school and such were just like, this guy is weird. Like he was just made everybody super uncomfortable. Like everything that I read was just that he was an extremely oddball, to say the least. Okay, so he's now doing drugs and acid. So he starts then frequently going to the doctor, and he is convinced that his blood is turning into powder.
I know.
Yeah. And that's just one of the things he's convinced of. And again, in his mind, this is entirely true. So he's going to the doctor, like being, my blood is turning into powder. He is convinced that somebody has taken his pulmonary artery, that somebody took his pulmonary artery. So like that he was convinced that his heart somebody took it. And so that was part of the reason why his blood is turning to powder. Like he is convinced that his heart is just stopping, that his heart is actually shrinking. What? And then the other thing is he's telling the doctor that his cranial bones, so your cranial bones are like the
base of your
the base of your skull.
Okay, yeah.
And that they are falling out of the back of his head. So these are all of the, like, he's 100% convinced of this. So he gets to the point where he actually shaves his head to try and prove it to the doctor. And then he starts taking oranges and like saran wrapping them to his head because he thinks he can absorb the vitamin C through his skin and that will keep his bones together.
Like, why don't you just take a supplement?
Ask him.
He's like, no, I need the skin on skin contact.
Well, he's also on acid and mentally unwell. So, this is all happening because of his frequent visits to the doctor and like the just uncomfortable accusations that he's making. Yeah. He now starts telling them that his mother is poisoning him. And so his mother and his father decide to just move him out on his own. Because what do you do with somebody that's freaking out? You just say, okay, you're well enough to live by yourself.
Got this.
Yeah. So now he's on his own with all of these thoughts that are going on his side, on in his head, gluing oranges to his cranium. Now this is where it's gonna get very uncomfortable. Okay. So this leads him to, he gets blood poisoning. And that's because he has
he gets blood poisoning or he thinks?
He gets blood poisoning. Okay. This one's real.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have to make the distinction.
Yeah, this one's real. Okay. So he gets blood poisoning because he has started injecting himself with rabbit blood. He thinks he can coagulate the blood that is turning into powder. So he's been like drinking rabbit blood. He like has been making smoothies with rabbit blood. And now he has started injecting rabbit blood like directly into his veins. Because again, he thinks his blood is turning into powder.
And the obvious way to make that stop happening is to drink rabbit blood.
And I don't know why rabbits.
Yeah, why specifically rabbits?
Well, so one thing I did read is that there was a rabbit farm like down the street, and he would ride his bike to the rabbit farm.
He's like, okay, this is easy.
But would you not wonder why a dude is coming to get like a rabbit every day?
Would he steal them or he'd buy them?
He'd buy them.
Yeah, I'd be questioning that unless they're one of those like farms that just like don't care and they're like just selling them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be questioning that a little bit.
So the only thing I can think of is why he chose rabbits is maybe out of the convenience.
Probably. Probably in his crazy mind.
Yeah.
He came across a farm with a ton of rabbits and he's like, that's the answer.
Yeah, like he just passed by it one day or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's hyper-fixated or something.
But yeah, okay, so he is injecting himself with rabbit blood. So now due to this, he is involuntarily committed to just because of this wild behavior. So he goes to a mental institution, and the people there, again, going back to like what I said before, like people are just weirded. Like he is just giving off like a weird vibe. Like he just makes people uncomfortable. And the people at the mental institution, and I apologize if mental institution isn't the right phrase to use, but I think it is.
I think so. That or like a psychiatric ward. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they are freaked out by him. Like these are professionals.
Yeah.
And they are so uncomfortable with him. And so he also, while institutionalized, he still finds ways to consume animal blood. So
Wait, when he's in the institution, he still does?
Yeah.
How? Well, I know you're going to get into it, but I'm like, how?
I'm glad you asked. So at one point, one of the workers comes into his room and he's like covered in blood. And they're like, what is going on? And and I can't remember the exact excuse that he used, but it was like, I cut my finger or something like that. But they're like...
Wait, one of the workers?
One of the workers comes in. And so they see him like covered in blood and they're like, what?
And he said he cut his finger?
Yeah, like something like lame like that. And come to find out, he had been trapping birds outside of his window and drinking the blood of the birds that he was trapping outside of his window.
What? Wait, the worker?
No, Richard.
Oh, wait, but the worker was covered in blood, or Richard?
Richard was covered in blood.
Oh, for some reason I thought you said the worker. I was just like, wait, the worker's in on this too?
Sorry. Yeah, it goes all the way to the top.
So he was covered in blood and he said his finger, but then it's because he's been trapping birds and drinking their blood. Yeah,
so like the worker walks into the room and he's covered in blood and his excuse is that he like cut his finger.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if it was actually that his excuse was that I cut my finger, but he made some like lame excuse about why he was covered in blood.
Yeah.
And come to find out, it was that he was trapping and sucking birds' blood.
God, ew.
Yeah. So,
I'm surprised he didn't die of like, I mean, I know you haven't finished, but I'm surprised he didn't die of like, whatever, from birds. Like, drinking their blood, probably, I don't know
dirty.
how he would do it, but that's disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, I guess...
And this guy was once popular with the ladies. Like,
thank you. Yeah, so the ladies are probably regretting that.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so in the hospital, he's continuing to find ways to consume the animal blood, which are the birds that we just clarified. The hospital worker was not involved with the death of the birds. Let's clear them of that accusation that Tayler had. Okay, so now he's finally like fully diagnosed with schizophrenia. And so they start putting him on medication to help him deal with this. After 1 year of staying in the institution and on the medication, he is released, and his mom immediately takes him off of his medication.
Why?
I don't know. You'd have to ask her.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Why? One of the comments that I think it was on last podcast on the left, but don't quote me on that in case it wasn't, that they had a very Irish Catholic household of like not admitting that things were wrong. Okay. So I think there was like a level of like embarrassment to it.
Especially because, wait, when did you say this was this the 70s?
70s, too? Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like even today with certain generations, they're not open to medication and mental health and stuff. So I can even imagine back then they're like, no.
Yeah. So again, he's only in there for a year. I mean, I'm sorry, but I've been living off rabbit's blood for who knows how long. Do you think I'm okay? Like after a year? Well, pigeon. Maybe. Yeah. And now I'm eating.
Assuming it's a pigeon.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true.
Because I feel like there's a lot of them.
Pigeons is what I was. That's what I was envisioning too. Yeah. Or pigeons. I guess I didn't look into what kind of bird.
I just imagined it as a pigeon because they're everywhere.
Yeah. And I feel like they're probably a lot in California, right?
Probably. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So he is released after a year. His mom takes him off of the medication. He now moves into an apartment with 3 roommates, and standard Richard is just freaking them out. He refuses to wear clothes, so he walks around naked everywhere. And I found, so this was the other thing that was kind of difficult, because one thing that I read said that he was living with women, so it was all women roommates, and then others said that it was different roommates, so I'm not entirely sure, but I also feel like if it was women, like, that's kind of, that's...
It would make sense.
Well, it would be, I just feel like it'd be extra messed up for him to walk around naked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But again, I should have done better of figuring that out. I just, noting if it was women, it makes him it adds a level of even more sickness.
Disgust.
Yeah. He moves into his apartment. I'm just going to say 3 roommates. Mm-hmm. He's freaking them out. He refuses to wear clothes. He starts like locking himself in his room and accusing them of like trying to break into his room and stuff, and they're like, we have no interest of going.
We don't want none of that, okay?
And like the dude is disgusting, like never showers, like never cleans anything. He's also back on drugs, so he's back doing acid. He's either drunk or high every single day, and so his roommates just like say like, you need to move out. He refuses to move out, and they're so freaked out by him that they just decide to move out.
That's probably what I would have done.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where it gets like full vampire mode. Okay. So now he's living on his own again, in that apartment. He starts getting more and more animals, into the apartment, blending up the blood in his drinks. It's just blood. That's
all he's drinking.
Yeah. He starts having more like paranoia. So now we're gonna go into his murder spree, and something that's, I don't want to say interesting, but unique about Richard is like there's usually a like spree killer and there's usually a serial killer. Richard's murders happen in the span of a month, so he's technically a hybrid of both, where like he escalated so fast that like normally like what will happen normally with serial killers is like they'll have like a ramp up period that will take like a few months, and then they'll have like a cool off period, and then they'll like ramp up again, or then they'll go into like full manic, and that's when like they lose control of like their ability to like do the manic versus cool down. And he just went full force,
full into it.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm not gonna go into all of the details of the murders, just because they are very gruesome. Yeah. I mean, he got the name the Vampire of Sacramento for a reason. So before he goes into his murder spree, Richard goes to a local lake, and this man shows up. This man that's just going to like go fishing shows up. And Richard is entirely naked, covered in blood. Oh. And the fisherman calls the police, and they end up arresting Richard, but release him.
What?
Because the blood is only cow's blood.
This guy needs to be investigated.
Thank you.
He's butt-ass naked, walking around with cow, drenched in blood.
And there's a bucket of blood in his car.
I don't care if it's animal blood or human blood. Send that guy.
Just casual Saturday afternoon, blood bathing. So anyways, I just thought that was also a really disturbing story. But also that the fact that he was released just on the fact because it's just cow's blood was wild to me. Okay, so again, Richard goes now into his spree, and his first known murder, or the first day of murders, is he decides to just drive his car around his neighborhood shooting at people.
Oh my God.
So Ambrose is a 51-year-old man helping his wife bring in groceries. And again, Richard is just popping off around the neighborhood. And he hits Ambrose twice and kills him. When Ambrose fell, his wife thought he had a heart attack. It wasn't until she got him to the hospital that she realized that he was shot.
Oh, she didn't realize that he was shot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And sweet man helping his wife bring in groceries.
And I love that name too, Ambrose.
I know.
I don't know if you've ever watched Sabrina, the Teenage Witch.
No, it's too scary.
Cousin named Ambrose. I'm I love that name. Anyway.
Yeah. So, there's also later reports where there were some kids saying that they saw Richard's car and that he shot at them but missed. Mm-hmm. So that's terrifying. Jeez. Okay, this is the part that really messed me up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he continues to escalate and he starts walking around the neighborhood just trying doors.
Ugh, that's so creepy.
Just
seeing what's open.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he can, yeah. That's terrible.
Do you want to go check if your door is locked right now?
I always lock mine, and Seth gets so annoyed. He's like, you don't have to lock it. I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah, I have locked Kyle out in the backyard. So, Kyle will be in the backyard, doing stuff.
I do that too.
And I have locked him out so many times.
It's a natural, habit.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we first moved in, because, we were in a condo before, so we didn't have a garage, but in this house, I got so used to locking the garage door, and Seb would get so annoyed, because he's like, I'm locked out again. Just sorry. So finally, I don't lock that one, but everything else, I lock immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Good job,
Thank you.
Okay, so this really freaked me out. So he is just going up to doors, seeing if they're unlocked, and if the door is locked, he moved on. If it was open, he would just go in to see what would happen.
Oh my God.
I also want to keep in mind, this man, so we said, again, at the beginning, that they found him attractive or whatever. Mm-hmm. He is very tall, 5'11" to be exact. Yeah. And he is emaciated. He's been living on blood. So he looks like a zombie. Mm-hmm. And is just a nightmare. And so he's just going up to people's doors, seeing if he could get in. There are also so many stories of people that have recounted, I saw this man walk up to my door and he tried multiple doors and windows to get in. And there's this one woman who's I saw him in my backyard and then he went and tried my window and then he came up to my front door. And when she went to the front door to be what are you doing? He just stood there and stared at her.
I was just about to, while you were saying that, I was thinking of imagine that happening today with our Ring cameras.
Right.
And, seeing it, and later on in the news, seeing it's a serial killer or something. That's wild.
I can't watch those. There's one where there's a guy that goes up and he just starts licking the camera.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I really can't handle them.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's doing his door checks, and so now he finally finds an open door, and this belongs to Teresa Walland, a 22-year-old pregnant woman. Richard goes into her home, murders her. He disembowels her body.
Oh my God.
There are also many signs of sexual assault. Her organs are completely outside of her body. There's also indication of cups where he was drinking her blood.
Ew.
And the saddest part, well, I don't want to say the saddest part. All of this is sad.
Yeah.
Her husband comes home and finds her. And as he's walking through the house, he thought there was like a flood or like for some reason oil on the ground because it was so covered in blood.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So now Richard continues to escalate. After Teresa, this is the same day, he goes into another home. Mm-hmm. However, he does not murder anybody, but police find that he has like ransacked the house, and he defecates in the child's bedroom. Ew. He is found by the family, and the husband chases him out. So it was like a matter of like moments that this family could have been home, and he could have like destroyed the whole family.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the FBI is brought in but because of the brutality of the murders and the reports of Richard. So the chase is on for Chase. Mm-hmm. I was very proud of that. Thank you.
Chase is on for Chase.
So he now commits it's now January 1978. Mm-hmm. This is one of his most notorious acts. He murders a mother, 38-year-old Evelyn Moreau. Or it's spelled Maroth, but I believe it's pronounced Moreau. Mm-hmm. And her 22-month-old son, Jason. Oh. He enters their home with the lock test. He kills Evelyn and then kills Jason. Mm-hmm. He drank the blood of both victims, mutilated their bodies, and the only thing that is kind of, I don't want to say a saving grace, but Jason is at least shot versus being like tortured.
Yeah.
However, Evelyn is equally brutalized and assaulted, like Teresa was.
Yeah.
So now Richard, like, and the other thing is he is just walking around in like bloody clothes and like does not even, it's not phasing him. Like he just does not care. Yeah. Like the sense of reality of like what he's done is not hitting him. Mm-mm. So he wanders. So this is, Nancy Holden, our lady hero, is shopping in a shopping center, and this just emaciated zombie of a human walks up to him, and he looks like he has dried blood all over his clothes.
Yeah.
And he goes up and he asks her, were you on the motorcycle when Kurt was killed? And Nancy, 10 years before, her high school boyfriend was killed in a motorcycle accident, and she then realizes that this is Richard Chase and that they had gone to high school together. Uh-huh. And if you remember, like, he was a ladies' man in high school, but like,
so she remembers him like differently.
Totally different.
Oh, okay.
Like she's just like like, you know what I mean? Like when you look at somebody and you're just like, where do I know you from? Like, yeah, this man looks entirely different to her.
Because he's like malnourished.
He's
at this point,
beyond covered in blood. Like she describes him as like a human ghoul. Yeah. Like he like just looks horrifying.
Yeah.
So she realizes that this is Richard Chase, and like at this point, like they are in a pretty local area, so like the news is out about like these horrific murders and like that, you know, they're looking for this man. Mm-hmm. And so she immediately gets herself out of there, And she
pieced it together. Like it was
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Okay.
And she calls the cops. And she's like, I just had this like interaction. This is the guy that you guys are looking for.
Yeah.
So now the cops have their suspect. They know Richard Chase is the person that they're after. They go to his apartment and they watch for hours. They like go and knock on his door. They know he's home. They can hear like noises in the apartment, but he won't come to the door.
And they can't go in there.
I don't know why they can't.
Is it like they can't sit on the warrant?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because otherwise they probably would have.
Yeah.
They knew he's in there.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's probably something like that.
Okay, I need to speed this up because I feel like I've talked forever. But anyway, so they can't get into the apartment, and they like just decide to wait outside. Like the dude has to come out at some point.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to get more blood, probably bunnies.
He's a vampire.
Yeah. Well, he can only come out at night then.
Yeah. He needs to come out at night.
Yeah. Duh, guys.
Blood.
Were you guys staying during the day? Okay, sorry.
He doesn't have a daylight ring.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So they're staking out his apartment. Finally, he comes out and he's like carrying this box. And I don't remember the importance of the box, but I was like,
weird that he had a box.
Mm-hmm. And so they arrest him and they raid his apartment. Now, this apartment is like literally a house of horrors. It is covered from floor to ceiling in blood. And he has like multiple blenders that are just filled with blood. That
why
like
does he need so many blenders?
He's a vampire.
I know, but like he just needs one. I just imagined all these blenders on the counter.
Or like why not get like a magic bullet?
Yeah.
Where you can like swap out real quick. Yeah.
Sick.
I don't know. He chose blenders. Well, it was also the 70s, so they probably only had blenders.
It's
an excess.
So many.
It's an excessive amount of blenders. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so blenders. I also just thought it was like really gross that he was like blending things.
I thought about that too. Like as I was thinking it, I felt like I was gonna gag for a second.
Yeah.
I said blending it. Ew.
Like, oh. Okay. Okay, so house is covered in blood. There are blenders everywhere, and they are like the smell is wretched. Obviously, I mean, I can't imagine that this man has a working shower. But the blenders, he's got those functioning.
Yeah, got that.
And there are body parts. These are human body parts that they find in the kitchen. This is a human butcher deli situation. So now they are going into what the sentencing is. The trial began in 1979. They tried to argue that he wasn't sane enough to be on stand given, his mental diagnosis and everything like that. That he was insane, that his delusions were too strong, that he did not understand what he was doing. Mm-hmm. However, the prosecutors argued that he knew what he was doing and that due to the brutality of the crimes, that he was fully aware of what he was committing. And especially with the state of his apartment and the kind of detail that went into
what. Yeah. I mean, the blenders.
You don't go and buy 5 blenders.
Like you know what you're using them for.
Yeah.
He had an agenda.
Yeah. Okay, so he's tried. He gets the death sentence. He's found guilty of 6 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. So he goes to jail, and his delusions, paranoia continue. He starts telling others that he had to do what he did because aliens were in his head saying he needed to kill. He's convinced that they are trying to also poison him in the jail.
The gym.
Where you go when you working out, Richard?
I know. The aliens in the gym.
So but however, like he may not have been wrong, because he again is freaking people out so much. Like every statement is just like, this dude, it makes me so uncomfortable. This is jail.
No matter where he goes, they're like,
this guy's got something.
Yeah.
So he's freaking them out. But it gets to a point where the prisoners are freaked out so much, and even the guards are freaked out, that they just start telling him to kill himself. So he may not have been wrong that they were trying to poison him. Like, yeah,
like it could have been not an actual delusion. Like, they were probably, but I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody, yeah. So eventually, Richard starts collecting his pills, and this is also reportedly, but from what I read, this is reportedly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm a Googler, so he ends up collecting like his own pills that he's supposed to be taking to help with his schizophrenia. Mm-hmm. And instead of taking them one day at a time, he takes them all at once and completes suicide while in jail instead of facing the death sentence. So this was there are lots of documentaries, books, and obviously lots of podcasts that you can listen to about him. I probably went over this super quick, but he is a super dark and chilling character in the true crime world that
No, I feel like that was good. I was not... So there was like... Because I don't listen to a lot of true crime, as I've said. And there was one that I watched on Netflix, and for a second I thought that's what this one was going to be, and it didn't. So I was wondering where it was going, like how he drained the blood and all this stuff. But yeah, ew. I hate him.
Again, like, I don't think I'll ever leave a door unlocked, like, ever again. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so paranoid. Like, only when it comes to, I think for me it was like when we went from because like the condo had one entrance only.
Right.
And then we were sleeping on the second floor. And then when I moved in here, it's like we have 3 entrances. We have the front door, garage door, back door. We have all these different windows, and it was just a lot. And we got like security cameras and stuff. And I'm like, I don't care. Better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. But yeah,
and it was also the 70s, so that wasn't really a thing back then.
True. Well, that is the story of Richard Trenton Chase.
Chase. Well, that concludes this episode. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Later.